Welcome to Healing Highs with Lara, where we talk about the highlights and serendipitous moments of our healing journeys. I'm Lara. Thank you for joining me today. Today, I thought we could talk about animal healing. I feel like this will be a part one to a series because there's so much about animal healing that I would love to cover, and so many people that I would love to have on the podcast to talk about those things. When we're lucky enough to have an animal in our lives, typically animals in some way are trying to support us or heal us. They often tend to take things on that we're going through to try to help us. I know many of you have experienced this, or you know someone that has, where you have anxiety, your animal has anxiety, or you know someone that has diabetes and their dog has diabetes. So the animals are really trying to help you. And believe me, I share this feeling with most of my clients that I just want my animals to be happy and healthy and their fun, cute selves, and not take those things on. And in animal communication, I will express that to the animal, but they have the right to, and the free will to do whatever that they would like. And so it's hard if they think that's what they're here for, is to help and support you, for them to do differently. Since they're going to do what they want, I feel there's a few things that you can do to make it easier for them. We'll talk about a few things today. Before we do, I want to share a story with you, which is how I learned animal communication. I have a memory of being very young, 5 or 6, and my mom reading us a book about how to talk to animals. And it said, you're going to use images to tell them what to do or what you're thinking or what you want to relay to them. And because I was so little for a long time, I thought that meant I'm actually using pictures, like drawing pictures or a photograph. And so I would, like if we were going on vacation, I would put a picture of me holding my cat on my bed. And I used the same picture for years every time we went on vacation and left the house to tell my cat I loved them and I was coming back. And it wasn't until I was a teenager that I realized, oh, I'm using pictures to communicate. It's the images in your mind that they're communicating with. So it wasn't until I got older that I realized that it's the pictures in your mind. So I want to talk more about that because I think it's helpful for all of us that have animals. But the incredible thing about that story is about 6 or 7 years ago, my parents were talking to me about animal communication, and they asked, where did you learn how to do this? Or how did you learn how to talk to animals? Because they could really see that the animals were responding to what I was asking them to do. And I said, oh, I learned from that book that you read us when we were kids. And they said, what book? And I described my memory. And to this day, they're adamant there is no such book. There never was any book. That never happened. So I don't know if that was a dream or an angel came in the form of my mom and read the book to us. I don't know. I have no idea what that book, I have like a vague memory of what it looks like, but I couldn't tell you the name of it. In my memory, it was me and my younger sister, who might have been like 3 at the time, and we were just sitting there being read to this about this book and how to communicate with animals. So yeah, my family says that never happened. And the thing is, my sister's also really good at communicating with animals too. So back to a few things that you can do to help with your animal. Number 1, I always say this in my sessions, it really helps if we work on our own stuff, if we work on our own healing. The more that you are healing and living in your purpose and creating a thriving environment for yourself, the less your animal energetically has to do to help you, and the less they have to take on, and the more they can just support you in those incredible and positive ways. So whatever you feel helps you: journaling, meditation, breath work, going into nature on hikes, eating nourishing foods, theta healing, whatever it is, do your healing. That allows them to take on less difficult things to support you because you are processing those things for yourself. I tell my animals a lot if something's going on, like, don't take this on. I'm going to work on this so that hopefully they will listen. The second thing that you could do to help is to ask your animal what is their purpose. And of course, they have many purposes, but you can learn, some of them, or as they maybe show different purposes, you can observe them. And you can do this by either going into meditation or just asking them and observing them and seeing what it is that they do. If you're in meditation or you're asking them, just quietly see what comes into your mind. The idea is that if you know some of what they're here to do, you can help them, and then they have a way to channel that energy to support you both. So I'll give you some examples of this that I've experienced. And if you've been in any of my classes, you've heard these stories, or you might have even been one of the people there that experienced it. So I have 2 cats. And I know some of their purposes, and I want to share some really cool validations that we've experienced. So one of my cats, Kala, she has 2 huge things that she does for me. One is she absolutely holds space. So when I teach a class, she'll either be sitting on the other side of the computer, facing away from me, always facing away from me. And I know that she's holding that energetic space for us. If I leave the computer, go take a break or eat lunch, she will sit in my chair facing the computer the entire time that I'm gone. So it is literally like she's just this energetic placeholder when I'm teaching a class on theta healing or energy healing. One of her absolute favorite things is angel energy. And the way that I figured this out was when I would ask her about her purposes, she started to show me every time that I called in angels to protect our house or connected with angel energies, she would look around the room watching things. And so then I started to realize, oh, this is one of her favorite things. One time I had 3 students at my house, and each one was practicing connecting to angels individually. And Kala was in another room the entire class. And this hour that we connected to angel energy, in the 8 hours of the class, she came out every time each person connected with angel energy, and she would cry and walk around us, really telling us that she could see something, she could feel something. And so, the first person would connect to the angel energy and she would come out and meow and walk around us. And then as soon as that person disconnected from the angel energy, she would go back in the other room. And then the class would chat a little bit and, talk about our experience. And then the next person connected to angel energy, and Kala would come out and walk around us and meow. And then as soon as that person sort of disconnected from the angel energy, Kala would go back in the other room. And then the third person, same thing. So every time we connected, she came out and was giving these validations. And it was so sweet because the students were learning how to do this. And when she would come out and cry, they would have their eyes closed in meditation, and they would just smile softly to themselves, because I know they were feeling their own validation in the connection as they were learning how to do this, that they were really doing this, because she hadn't done that the whole day, and she was only doing it when each one of them was connecting. So that was a really sweet day. And for me, validating the communication that I had with her, that she loves angel energy. So I always look to her to see when I know there's angels around us. My other familiar is 100% a shapeshifter. Even this morning, she appeared in one spot and then in another immediately. And I feel like I've known this from the beginning, but lately it's like she's getting more advanced at it, because I hear myself saying a lot in the last few weeks, how did you get there? How did you get there so fast? So maybe she's just fine tuning her abilities, but she's definitely getting more advanced at it. But one of her favorite things is, and again, this was very early on, that I was asking her purpose. And I started to hear myself saying, wow, you get whatever you want. You find whatever you want. And so I realized, okay, this is her thing. She can manifest. And so I would tell her when I was manifesting so she could come and help me, or I would tell her what I want to manifest so she could use her abilities to help us amplify and create that receiving energy. And the way I felt recently was really validating in this is I was teaching a class a couple months ago, and in the class, it was a 2.5 day class, and Kala was next to me. The people were in person at my home. Kala was next to me the entire class. And then on the last day, for about 2 hours in the middle of an 8-hour day, we were going to talk about manifesting and do manifesting. And I realized in those 2 hours that Kala had left and Chacha had come and sat in her space for manifesting. And even when we were doing a demonstration of how to use theta healing in manifesting, she walked over to the person who was demonstrating it, and she was playing with their paper that they had written down manifestations on. And as soon as we were done with that portion of the class and the manifesting, she went back in the other room and Kala came back. And Chacha will do this a lot where I teach the classes online or have a client. As soon as I talk about manifesting, as soon as I get into that energy, she appears in front of the computer screen. She appears next to me if I'm on the phone. And so again, this is how it just validates for me the communication that I have with them, and also in the way that I'll receive information about them and then see it demonstrated in the classes or in my sessions. And I know anyone that knows we can communicate with animals, it sometimes is hard to validate. So these things are really helpful, that we can communicate with animals. And we're very encouraged by these types of experiences. So the other big thing that you can do to help your animal is when they are supporting you, they need that support. So when they're healing you, they need healing as well. However, that can work for you. If you know how to do Reiki on your animal. If you want to get them a Reiki session or a theta healing session, whatever you have access to that could be beneficial for them, you could ask your angels to heal them. I love to also put on a YouTube video that has Reiki sound healing for animals, and I'll send that often to my clients to support their animal healing after our session. Anything like that, they enjoy those things so much. It feels so good for them. And it allows them to be in a healing state themselves so that they can approach their healing work for you with a clearer space, helping their physical bodies to let go of some of that wobbly, gunky energy that could affect them. Everyone that offers animal healing does it in a different way. So I like to make sure that's really clear, because I'm going to discuss the way I do animal healing, which combines healing and communication. Some people are just communicating with animals. They're not offering energy healing. So I just want to make that really clear. So the way that I do animal healing is I'll connect with, I recently heard somebody say parent instead of parent. I thought that was so funny. So I'll connect with the parent of the animal and ask what your concerns are. What are the things you would like me to focus on? And after a few minutes of getting those details of what's going on and what we need to focus on, I'll do energy healing for the animal. So balancing their chakras, releasing any of that energy that they're absorbing from those around them, releasing any stagnant negative energy. Maybe before you adopted them, they went through something traumatic, helping them to release that energy from their body. That way their body is more energetically aligned for doing further work with them. Because then after that, I will go into the specifics that you discussed and use in theta healing. It's, we can actually do that with animals, and it is like we are having a conversation in a way with them. And I'll go in and focus on the things that you wanted me to see how we could do even deeper healing. And then at the end, I'll see what were the things you wanted to be communicated, and I'll kind of open up the space for your animal to give me any communications that I can give you. And then I'll connect again with the parent and tell them kind of what happened in the session and what came up, and answer any questions that you might have. And so again, these sessions can be really helpful for the animals because then they can approach their work with a clearer space, and they can feel better in their bodies that whatever they were doing to try to help can kind of clear. But also, if they think, they're helping you with certain issues, they can communicate some things to you. And I have a lot of clients that say they feel like their relationship with their animal is more close, and that they understand their animal better because of these sessions, as well as it helps further their healing work, because then they kind of see from their animal's perspective what they're going through and how they could help themselves to ultimately help their animal. So in animal communication, we use the images in our mind to communicate. So when you say something to your animal, like, don't jump on people, your dog, don't jump on people when they walk in the door. The dog sees an image from your brain of them jumping on the people when they walk in the door. So then when they do that and you say no, they're so confused because they saw the image of them doing that. So it's better to tell them what you want them to do. When people walk in the door, I want you to stay sitting. When people walk in the door, I want you to stay quiet. Because as you're saying it in that positive way, your brain is now sending them an image of them sitting quietly as people walk in the door. And along the lines of these images, they sort of, for me in the sessions, will use kind of a catalog of images in my head, and they'll use the images in their families' heads as well. So one time I had a session with someone where I described a toy. I said, they are showing me this certain toy, and I described it really specifically, and the person said, that's wild because they don't have a toy that looks like that, but I was looking last night online at getting them a new toy, and I saw a toy that looked just like that and was thinking of getting it for them, but I haven't gotten it yet. How did they know that? They didn't see my phone. And again, it's just an example of that. They saw the image in their owner's face in their owner's head of that toy, and were showing it to me. And so what I was describing might not have been exactly, like if we both drew it, they might have been different, but it got the point across because I knew the color, I knew the shape, I knew it had certain textures, and that was enough for the owner to say, yeah, look, and showed me a picture of it, and it was really close to what I had seen in my mind. So I like to tell you that so that could help you communicate a little bit more easily with your animal. Animals do understand some words, especially dogs. Obviously, they understand a lot of words and phrases, but I just hope that this knowing that they communicate in the images and talking more positively about what you want them to do can really help your relationship and your communication with your animal. Before we end today, I want to do a 5-minute meditation. This is going to be for you so you can find some beautiful things about yourself, which will help you be in a better space and ultimately help your animal. So if it's safe for you to do so, please close your eyes. And we're going to take a deep breath in and exhale. And one more time, a deep breath in and exhale. And connecting with the energy of your heart. I want you to ask yourself this question, and we'll just give some time for you to quietly sit and sense the answer. Ask your heart, what is something beautiful about me? Whatever the answer is, if it is that you are kind or loving or courageous, whatever it is, I want you to imagine what that quality about you feels like in your heart. And imagine that feeling expanding from your heart to be held within your whole body. Imagine it expanding out around you. And just stay in that vibration for a moment. Whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. There is so much more I want to talk about animal healing. But like I said, I think this will end up being a series, and we'll have some guests on to share their stories about animals as well, because there's so many amazing people in the world that are a medium for animals. But I did post something recently where I asked if people had any questions about animal healing for the podcast, and I had a really cute question be asked, which was, do animals have their own unique voice? And so it's an interesting question because it's not a simple answer. A simple answer would be yes, they do, but it's in the way that they have their own unique energy, like an energy signature, because they often use the images to communicate. It's not necessarily that you hear a voice, but you connect with their energy and you can feel that it's different. So sometimes I'll connect with a very small dog, but their energy is really big and assertive. And then other times I'll connect with a small dog and their energy is really reserved and they're not a talker, like you kind of have to really engage with them a lot to get them to send me the images and communicate in that way. For me, it's like deciphering a puzzle of pictures, and I'm trying to see like if I'm getting what they're trying to tell me. That's a general answer. But other times I do hear a voice, and it can be, like I said, the voice of their energy or their higher self. So yes, they all have their own unique communication, whether it's in the form of images or their higher self voice, or their physical body could kind of give me the sense of a voice. So it's a really great question. Sorry, it's not a clear answer because it kind of depends. But I want to leave you with this. Your animal chose you. Whether you think you chose them or not, they know. You can hear them and you can hear their thoughts and their communications. Even if you don't think you have the capability to communicate with them, you do. You already are. So start with that. And if you feel like you have a good communication with them, continue to build it, and it will become so much stronger in the way that you can understand each other. And just build on that, and you'll be able to do so much more for them and then so much more together. At the end of our podcast, we always ask the void a question. So today, my question for the void is, Void, what do you think about the idea that People call black cats voids.
I like it.
Okay, good. So thank you, healer, for joining us. I wish you joy and serendipity on your healing journey, and I hope our paths cross again.